Reggie SRC. Thank you, John.
I got you a song in there, baby.
Attaboy. Good morning. It's a delight to be here. I'm excited about this. This is my fourth consecutive SRC. The first time April has asked me to speak, which made it doubly exciting for me. You know, my wife and I spent 12 years in Texas, so I feel like there's a lot of history in this state for me. I love this state. My family's still down in Burleson. The unique thing is, though, Texas is where I started roofing. So, I mean, anything roofing related to me kind of started from here. And what's really interesting to me is over the last day and a half, I've kind of walked around, and even some of you in here today I see. I want to say something to you. You have had impact on me, and you've never met me, many of you. And the life lesson to that is this. You need to open your mouth with the truth in you because somebody needs to hear. We wait for audience and attraction, and we miss opportunities to speak life into people who need it. And so I want to personally thank many of you who I've never met for the impact you had on my life when I needed you. One of the deceptions in our industry today is that we feel like for our value to be validated, we have to have audience paying attention to us. I was in rooms of 5 people and 10 people and 12 people. I've never been up on a stage like this in our industry before, but when someone was willing to pour their life out to me when I needed it, it changed me. And I want you to know I appreciate you for doing that, though we have never crossed paths personally. Can I tell you this before I move on? Open your mouth, declare your truth, help somebody else for once in your life. Well, that was good. I think I got one person with me. The last memory I'll share with you about Texas is the most significant one for me. Because in August of 2009, my wife, I, and son, plus 2 dogs, headed west to Texas from Georgia. And when the 4 wheels of our U-Haul crossed into this state, I'll never forget how I felt and actually knew the condition that my family was in and how devastated I was. We'd been married over 20 years, and right before our eyes, our lives exploded and nothing was left. And I don't know how you feel about your life, but when times like that happen to me, you know the first thing I do, and it's not blame somebody else for what I'm standing in. The first thing I do is I withdraw and I try to find out what caused us to be here where I was never expected to see. Now see, some of you have walked into this place today in a place where you never thought you would be. Devastation and ruin is all around you. And so what I did, and I encourage you to do, is this. You had to take inventory on why you are where you are and who caused it. And when I did that, you know what happened? I realized all fingers were pointing to me. There was nobody to blame but me. The devastation that was now compounded on my family in every way possibly known was my fault. And then I thought, that's not good enough. I need to figure out what caused me to be me enough to put us in this mess. And clearly these words came to my mind. You lack character. You see, people with good character don't treat people they said they love the way I was treating my family. People with good character didn't make the decisions that put us in ruin financially. People with good character don't do that kind of stuff. I was leading our family down a road that was pointing toward devastation. Oh, and then the final piece of the puzzle came together. You know what that final piece was? I realized that I had perfected the art of this secret life nobody knew about. And it was destroying me and everything I touched. You know what I'm talking about, right? There are things we want everybody to see, and we promote, we protect these things on the outside so that everybody will look at us and think we've got things together. But at night, when you lay down and nobody's around, that voice just keeps running all the time, reminding you of all the cover-up you need to do to protect this second double life you're living. It's exhausting. And so I realized my lack of transparency and honesty was really the result of what caused us to be in that spot. How about you? How about you? I had perfected the art. When I was in middle school, I'll never forget this. My dad, before the beginning of every school year, would go to the bank. He would get a bag of change that was full of quarters and dimes. That was it, quarters and dimes, but a big, big bag. And each morning, my sister and I would walk in and take 35 cents out so we could buy our lunch at school. I know, that's a long time ago. That was a routine. We would come home after school and sit down every night as a family and each take turns and talk about our days. Does anybody remember anything like that? I mean, like where there was genuine interaction between the mother, the father, and the children. I mean, I love those times, except for this night. So I get up that morning. I was somewhat husky as a middle schooler. So 35 cents wasn't cutting it for me anymore. I needed some more calorie intake. And I realized that would take another 50 cents. So I just threw my big little fat hand into that bag and got my 35 cents and picked up an extra 50 and just went on to school. Had a wonderful day, probably a fried pie or something. When I got home, we sat down just like we did every night. My dad went around the room and everybody kind of shared their day, and then he got to me, and I got about 15 seconds chucked into my conversation with him, and he looks at me and he stops me and he goes, "Why did you take that extra 50 cents? Folks, this was a big bag of change. And I'm like, just like you do, when you're hiding stuff, you get caught, what's the first thing you do? It wasn't me. I mean, what would make you think that about me? So to understand where we were in that story, you need to understand my dad's a preacher, and he wasn't just a preacher, he was a praying preacher. And I would wake up many times during the middle of the night and hear him calling my name. He probably knew what lied ahead, and he was trying to prepare me and for God's hand to be on my life as much as possible. So I, after finally admitting to this 50-cent steal job that I did, I knew consequences were about to have to be paid. And I said, "Dad, before we go into judgment here, could you tell me how you knew?" He said, "Sure." He said, "Yesterday before dinner, the Lord spoke to me in my prayer time and told me to count the money." Really? This is over 50 cents? So I counted the money. I said, "Well, that explains one thing. What about the next?" He said, "Well, I got home, and before you got home from school, the Lord, while I was praying at church for some other people, said, 'Go home and count the money again.'" He said, "So I went home and I counted the money again, and it was 50 cents short." And he said, "The Lord wasn't done with me at that time, because I said, 'Well, Lord, I think I know, but could you go ahead and tell me that Reggie did it?' And the Lord confirmed that." So I was in this hot seat with nowhere to go. And this is what my dad said to me that I'll never forget, and I've lived with the rest of my life. He said, "Son, your sins will find you out." Now, I'm not up here discussing theology with you today, but what I'm telling you this is some of you are living and running down the wrong track, and you think you're slick and you're going to be able to cover it, and nobody's ever going to see it. Your wrong one day will be revealed, and it will cause a cataclysmic result in your life that sometimes is not repairable. Are you not ready to stop? You think you have covered your bases, and then one day you make a wrong step, and the whole world knows about it, and you wonder what happened. Stop living your secret lives. You know why? Because they're going to destroy you. They're going to wreck you. And so what I found out in that moment for me was this. There we go. I, for most of my life, was dedicated to trying to fix my life on the outside when the problem was really on the inside of me. You see, you protect, you promote, and you provide for everything for everybody so they'll see you a certain way. But deep down inside of you, you know that's not the problem. The problem is these unresolved issues in your life that you just let run amok forever, and they put you in the place that you're in. Deal with them or they're going to deal with you. My God, April, I thought we was at a roofing conference. There's something bigger in life than roofing, and that's your life. And what I'm intentional on this morning is to help you navigate through life so you can truly find righteousness, peace, and joy in the steps that you take moving forward. And not just have your life fulfilled, but those who are attached to you, important to you, that you love, you care for, you want to make a better life for. Choose the right path, and a hidden one ain't going to get you there. Work on where things need to happen for change to occur, and that's on the inside of you. Now watch this. Why? People ask me, would you share that? It's embarrassing, isn't it? Yes, daggum embarrassing. To tell you where I was in 2009, very embarrassing, very humiliating. I made some decisions that I will regret till the last breath within me. But look at this. Here's what I believe. I cannot really enjoy where I am today if I forget from where I came. Knowing where I was and my family was in 2009 and waking up every morning, looking in the mirror and seeing the drastic changes we've made to get us to where we are today, it's worth the remembrance. And so when I come back to Texas and I remember 2009, you know what? I don't just stop there. I look at the progress and the progression that we've made over and over and over to get us to where we are in 2023, and I rejoice and celebrate every day of my life. Okay. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to put in the work and the time and the energy and effort for the celebration will await those who try and make things right? If you are, then put your dadgum hand to the plow and start working on some of these hidden issues that you're trying to get over on everybody around you and find the peace that you're really looking for. It can happen. As devastated as we were, we've come out. We've come out. We have rebuilt stronger than ever before. So, big question of the day is this. What are you hiding and holding on to that's keeping you from the life you know you deserve or want? And that's what I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to focus on those things, those hindrances, those limits, those things that are holding you back, holding your family back. All the progress you're talking about, but you realize until I can leave this second secret life and live vulnerably honest in front of people, just know this, you can't get by that with that anymore. You know better. So, my responsibility today is this. I'm going to provoke your fanny. I'm going to cause you to think about specific actions that are going to lead to specific changes so that finally you can reach the destinations you desire. How about that? But as long as you've got this accompanying entity next to you where all your hidden secrets lie, don't fool you. You can walk out here and go like, whatever, what's next? What's next on the agenda? But to you who right now feel your heart palpitating faster because I've hit a nerve, deal with them because it's not going to go away till you do. When I started preparing for this word parabellum just kept returning to my mind. And that word parabellum, one of the definitions of parabellum is this. If you want peace, prepare for war. I didn't have peace in 2009. But if you look through the history of, throughout history, you will see many victories were only meaningful, but that were meaningful were generally preceded by some type of war. Can I tell you this? I'm going to get right to the point. I had to declare war on obsessions and appetites that I had that were disruptive to me, and I had to kill them out. And when something becomes, you like it, and you've got an appetite for it, you know what you're going to do, John? You're going to chase it till you catch it. You see, the problem is not what we're getting. The problem is the appetite that leads us to the get. And people are like, I want to change, I want to change, I want to do. But you have not taken action on the things that is causing the disruption in your life. You got to kill it off. If you want peace in your life, declare war on any distraction that's keeping you from that. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a tough road to hoe. What I did was I identified specifically what my targets were. Those things that I knew were keeping me from reaching the life I desired for me and my family. And I said, I'm putting a plan together, and it may not be in the morning, but you're going to be gone sooner or later. You'd have thought I was a madman if you saw me driving around my truck. I was screaming at myself. It wasn't at the traffic. It wasn't at anybody else. I was screaming at my inner man going, you are not going to survive this when I'm done with you. You are not going to make it. I'm going to quench the life out of you because I do not want that result in my life ever again. I'm tired of hurting people. I'm tired of disappointing people. I am going to stand firm, and for me to stand firm and live the right life, you got to go. And I named it. And buddy, I had a plan of an action to destroy it. Then here's what I realized. I was kind of casual with some things because I enjoyed them so much. That's the truth. Had such appetite for them, I'm like, I'll control it. I ain't got to get rid of it. I'm going to control it. And what I didn't realize is there was such a deep root system in me that was attached to that appetite, a little casual effort wasn't going to get the job done. I'm telling you here today, you've got to destroy everything in you that's keeping you from where you want to be. It's a war. I challenge you to declare on those limits that are holding you back. I'm going to talk to you about 3 things, and then I'm going to get out of here, and we get back to talking about roofing. Have you ever wondered why we hide things? I mean, I ask myself that. I'm like, what the heck? Why am I so obsessed with hiding? And I realized there was 3 things that really triggered me to want to hide. The first thing was I was ashamed. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed of my own actions. Just ashamed. And the last thing I wanted to do was to take ownership of my own dadgum actions. So I just hid them. Easier, right? The second thing for me is I feared judgment. I didn't want to face my accusers and realize that one day I was going to have to pay the consequence for the action that I rendered in my behavior. Can I tell you this? Your life is not without consequence. Good or bad. But I hid things because feared judgment. And the final thing for me was, like some of you, I'm a huge people pleaser. It motivates me. Like, I want people to be happy with me. God forbid that they reject me or abandon me or I disappoint them. And so what I would do, knowing that if they knew what I did, if I told them that, they'd be disappointed in me and they might not want to be my friend anymore, I just hid. What's your excuse? Because until you get close to the root cause of this hidden agenda that you're living with, you'll never overcome it. So let's say now you've admitted to, I'm hiding things. What the heck do we do now? Here's what I did. I decided one day I'm going to drop this weight of concealment. I'm going to drop it. And do you know how I did that? I just stopped hiding things. Think about it. Like, my God, this is not rocket science. If I did not want to carry around this weight of concealment, like it was just dropped, it was so exhausting because I don't know about you, but I was always having to remember what I told who and when I told them. And, it was just like this on and go because I did not want to expose them to Reggie II. That was mine. It was my secrets. But buddy, when I decided I ain't going to do that anymore, that was the first step for me. I mean, I'm like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is stop doing more of that that's causing the weight of concealment to be on me. Drop it and leave it. And you can do that today by just not hiding things anymore. The second thing, as I mentioned earlier, is you've got to have an aggressive attitude toward getting rid of the things that have put you in the place you're in today. Don't be casual. Fight to the death. Now, here's what the result of it is, and I love this. You will eventually begin to feel an advanced state of thinking and living like you've never experienced. You know what? When I stopped concealing things, I became more creative than I'd ever been in my life. Because I wasn't upset. My mind wasn't like tattered, and my mind wasn't torn between, all right, who am I serving here? Is it this Reggie that everybody sees, or is it the Reggie that only I know? And I just eliminated all that, right? I just got rid of it. And man, my mind started popping as much as it could on every cylinder. Wham! When people come up to me, my wife said, what the heck was that? And I'd be like, I don't know. She said, well, that was good. And I'm like, I know. I don't know why. I have no idea. You know what? I had dropped this weight of concealment, and I lived one life only, and that was a vulnerable, honest life in front of you and her and everybody that I ever came in contact with. And it advanced, because here's what I believe, as a man thinks, so is he. That's what I believe. So when my mind started becoming more advanced, the living outcome was even greater. Without a ton of pressure. It just organically happened. You see what this weight of concealment's doing to you? You just bog down. You don't know what to do with yourself day in and day out. I understand. Just stop it. All right. Secondly, y'all still with me? Just hang in there. Number 2, I want you to know this. Your uniqueness is your simple advantage. Don't argue with me with what I'm fixing to say. Scientists tell us this, that 99.9% of all of our DNA is identical. Now I understand why it's so hard to stand out. So what we do is, rather than chasing this advantage we have, small in nature but large in impact, what do? We become tribal. We see everybody doing something a certain way, and they seem to get the attention that I want. So what do I start doing? I just start doing it my own way, exactly the same. I don't I repackage ideas and thoughts and behaviors and strategies that somebody else says. And listen, it's good that you get other information, but if it keeps you from being you, run from it. You ain't ever going to see me with a pair of skinny jeans on my big fat rear end. And the reason is it works for John, but it don't work for me. And it don't work for you, Mike, either. So you might want to change your wardrobe. So once I realized that I have this small part of me that makes me stand out, dude, I got obsessed with it. What is it? What is it? So the stewardship part of me, in realizing that I had something unique that was just mine, nobody else has, here's what it did to me. It made me to protect it. Once I found it, I started being real protective of it. Like, nope. And if my uniqueness was compromised in any shape, form, or fashion, I'm going in the opposite direction. Some people have not understood that. They've seen things in me and they go like, well, that's not the way you were 6 months ago. The fact of the matter is, the character in me is pushing me in a new direction, and sometimes I see others do things that I just, I'm really not comfortable with, and I have to detach myself. Why? I'm protecting what's uniquely mine. Now watch what happens then. This gravitational force takes over. What that gravitational force does is this. It repels things that don't belong to us, and it attracts things that do. Your uniqueness starts screaming to the world, and then there's an audience out there that goes like, whoo, I've been waiting to hear that forever. Thank you for sharing it with me. You remember I told you that first story, when I was walking around and some of you were saying things to me I'd never met that really impacted my life? That's what I'm talking about right now. Your uniqueness needs somebody needs. And this gravitational force, once it realizes that you're focused on your uniqueness, has a way of pulling things in your directions that belong to you. Wouldn't you rather just have what belongs to you, not worry about everything else? It was freeing for me. Okay, this is where everybody's going to get mad at me. If you're going to get mad at me, this is where it's going to be. So to get where you can focus on your uniqueness and it create tremendous impact, the first thing you got to do, hear it all, influencers, before you get mad at me, stop being intoxicated with influence. Start thinking about impact. Watch this. Watch this. I can get a whole lot of people, maybe, if I spend enough money, maybe, to get looking at me. Maybe I say something that's of interest to people. But the question I have to myself and to any of you who your objective is to become an influencer in our world today, when you get my attention, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do to impact my life? And here's what I found about impact. Impact requires me to pour who I am into somebody else for their gain. Do I need to say that again? Impact requires me to pour who I am, the experiences I've had, into somebody else for their gain, not mine. That's impact. Now, can you have influence and impact? Absolutely. But what you've got to focus on is when I get eyes on me and I get people interested in me, what am I doing with it to impact them for their advancement? That's a different play. I love you, influencers. I'm going to give you 3 words as I bring this to an end that matter to me. And some of you have heard me on podcasts or in other places. And these 3 words have become really important to me. And I'm going to show you how they work together in terms of utilizing and really maximizing your uniqueness. The first word is the word metron. The word metron means your measure of rule and influence that attracts your true audience. It's your uniqueness. That's your portion. That's the influence, the power punch that you really own. So once you stop looking to the right and the left and what's this one doing and how's this one doing, and you tap into that uniqueness, all of a sudden things start happening in your life when you voice it, because people come to you looking for what's in you, and impact starts happening. Metron. Second word is mentor. I hated this word's guts. And the reason is because I thought the only people who ever use the word mentor were arrogant. That's what I thought. They're like, I know more than you. That's not what the word mentor means. The word mentor means experienced, trusted advisor. That's what it means. And so as you gain knowledge of your 0.01%, your metron, your uniqueness, and you start declaring it, there will be people who start chasing you down because of your uniqueness, and it's your responsibility to pour into them what they're interested in, and that's your unique ability to, through experience and guidance and trusted advice, to advance their life forward. So if you take those 2 words and put them together, that was Jeff Valder. Some of you may know him. We were on a call one time. He goes, man, that's a great anagram. And I'm like, oh, what is that? He says, it's just a combination of 2 words, 2 words have the same letters and they're just put differently. So my job is to mentor my metron. So I want to give advice and experience and help others who come to me who have heard my uniqueness and help them in their progress of life. That's my goal. How many coaches and consultants do we have in this room? Would you stand up? Just stand up right where you're at. Stand up. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see you back. Stand up. Stay standing up. This is what transformed my life, and I want you guys to hear this. When I realized that I have a metron that belongs to me, I stopped worrying about the metron that belongs to Chuck. I became no longer a competitor with John, I became a co-laborer with Paul. See, every voice represented in those who are standing up to here have a unique, and I'm going to tell you something, guys that are standing up, gals, wherever you're at. You do not have to worry about what anybody else is doing. Speak your truth and watch what happens when your metron is drawn to you, and you don't have to worry about us competing together for the same cause. And the fact of the matter is we now, Tommy, can co-labor together to advance everybody else in this room for their good and their progress. Live your truth and allow your truth to make you a co-laborer, not a competitor of everybody else standing in this room, and our world's going to be better. Now sit down. So I leave you with this. What the heck now? What the heck are you going to do with this? I got 3 suggestions in the last minute and 15 seconds. The first one is no more secrets. Pledge yourself to no more secrets. Just get rid of this dude that's weighting you down. The second thing is I'm going to challenge you to fix what you broke. You know what's easy to do? Hightail it when you tore something up. And trying to run away from your responsibilities. And trying to blame it on somebody else. If you broke something, fix it. What's the healing and happiness and the rebuild that will occur when you become accountable for your own dadgum deeds? And then the final thing is, once you get to that place, you're going to live your purpose, and you're going to experience life and happiness like you have never experienced before. Today, I was not attempting to try to make any of you feel guilty. I was actually trying to give you, I speak new life into you, and to realize what is in you is enough for you and those that you're connected with to have a happy and prosperous life. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Look at 9 seconds early.
This man finished